This segment sponsored by Viking Psychiatry. Welcome back to Mental Health Matters with Viking Psychiatry. I'm joined by Sean Goddard, who is their founder, and today we're going to talk about resilience in mental health. Hi, Sean.
Hi, good to see you.
Welcome. Yes. Okay, so resilience in mental health. What does that mean, and how does resilience impact mental health?
Yeah, so one of the easy ways to explain this is like going to the gym and exercising and working out, right? When we first start to exercise, we often don't have a lot of resilience, right? We can't stand the impact of running on the treadmill and what it does to our body, right? We can only lift that weight so many times before it ends up causing us problem. And so we are not born with resilience, strong resilience to deal with the traumas and the things that life has presented to us. We actually have to build that resilience over time, and some people do a great time of doing it, but resilience is our ability to deal with adversity, stress, and trauma while maintaining a more positive or forward mental health approach.
Yeah, it's like we don't want mental health to take us down.
Correct.
You know, it may occur, people may experience it. I believe everyone at some point in their life experiences a level of mental health, but it's a matter of, is that going to be the end, right? Are you going to let it overtake you, or are you going to push through? And so what are strategies that people can really use to push through and to be resilient in that state?
Yeah, you know, at Viking, we really specialize in treatment-resistant depression. So we get a lot of clients who've been struggling with depression for a long time. And what we see is far too often people get their depression treated, they start to feel better, and then something little happens, right? And then they're right back where they started. And so when clients come to me and they look at options like Spravato or ketamine, I tell them that while these are very strong tools and can make a significant impact, it doesn't do all the work, right? We have to put in and invest, right? Put skin in the game. And so we do that by building our resilience. And so some ways that we can do that is by having self-compassion and self-understanding, right? We criticize ourselves so much. We break ourselves down so much. We make a small error and we take that big error and make it tenfold of what it is, right? And we can't do that. We have to give ourselves some love and some forgiveness for the things that happen. One thing to do is build strong relationships, right? When it's just us going through it, we don't have any lifelines. We don't have people to lean on.
Right.
But when we build strong relationships, when we have good friends, spouses, significant others, or even pets, right? We're able to lean on them to help us through those tougher times when we are struggling or we don't know what to say or do. Having healthy coping mechanisms. I talked to you in a previous episode of how I went to Enfold, and I talked about releasing the traumas of the body and releasing what the body stores. And so one thing that I do now that I find if something negative happens, I try to release that in that moment. So it's a joke in the office. If you hear Mr. Goddard making a weird sound, it's because he's releasing his frustration.
Okay.
And we have to do that because otherwise we just keep packing it in and packing it in and packing it in. So creating healthy mechanisms to deal with those is important. The other thing is setting realistic goals, right? We got the Mrs. Jones and the Mr. Jones, and we want to be like everybody else, or have this thing like everybody else, or do just as good or better than our coworker. And we set all these expectations, and then when we don't succeed, when we don't reach that level, then what do? We go back to self-criticizing and self-hating, right? And so we have to be able to set reasonable expectations for ourselves and take it one slice of cake at a time, right? And then I think the final thing is getting the help when you need the help, right? We need people sometimes to show us the skills and the tools to be able to build that self-resilience. And so it doesn't mean you have to learn and do it all by yourself. There's people out there who can help you do that.
Yeah. And what is this sound that is made? Is it a
Yeah, it can be anywhere from a to a very, very, I would call almost Wolverine type scream, but it's extremely healthy.
Yeah, it's your releasing tool. I like that. Let it go in the moment, you know, and also like forgive people in the moment, you know.
Absolutely.
I love letting go. Oh, I love it so much because it's like other people's toxicity can sit and corrode you when it doesn't need to.
It's something as simple as like a road incident, right?
Yeah.
How often does somebody cut you off, right, or not let you over, and then we sit and we stew on that for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes and build it up to something bigger and bigger and bigger, when really what we should do is right in that moment, yes, maybe it's frustrating, maybe it's upsetting, let it go. And I do that right there in that, behind that steering wheel, right? Let it go. And who cares what people think when they see you screaming in your car, right? Because it's about you. Let it go in that moment and move on. Don't let all these little things drag you down, right? Because one little weight isn't that big, but 1,000 weights is a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk about the way that therapy can really support this resilient state and accomplishing that.
Yeah, it really comes down to building tools, right? It's easy to maybe pick up a book or a self-help book or those type of things, but number one, I find a lot of times that people don't have the time to commit to read them and then struggle with applying those to my situation. Oh, this reads great, but how do I apply this to my situation, my life? I don't see how to do that. And so a really good therapist can help you realize what some triggers and some events are. We have this huge thing inside of us called ego, and it likes to get in our way, and it likes to be this voice that talks nonstop to us and makes us second guess ourselves and question and all those types of things. And so I'm a huge fan of what's called internal family systems, where therapists will help you look at the inside, look at that ego, and look at all those voices that are going on and begin to be able to silence them or ignore them and build that resilience so that those voices don't drag you down.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. Yes. With these tools, we can really focus on building resilience through mental health, and Viking Psychiatry is here to help. So I'll list their website below to give them a call, and I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Viking Psychiatry.